Welcome to the Frugalpreneur podcast. I am your host, Sarah St. John, and my guest today launched his own gym business at the age of 19 and is the head of business development of Fitness Revolution, which is a leading coaching and consulting agency empowering fitness business owners to achieve their fullest potential. Welcome to the show, Justin Hanover.
Thanks so much, Sarah. I'm happy to be on the show and to be able to bring value to your audience.
Yeah, it's good to have you. Can you give a little bit more of your background, how you got into the fitness business, having your own at 19, and just entrepreneurship in general, even?
So I would say, definitely, this place, entrepreneurship is something that got a hold of me, like very early, and it's something I couldn't shake. So I mean, even in high school, I just knew I wanted to start creating and building something for my own. Going to college really wasn't on my radar. I had really no desire to do that. My perception is like, I don't need to waste more time sitting behind a book where I can go out and start doing something. So that was pretty much my mindset right out of high school. And I guess initially going the state route, I started actually going to school for architecture and quickly realized that that wasn't my path. Like, that was not how I wanted to be living. It wasn't in alignment with what was my calling, if you will. And so I left that and always had a passion for fitness space, things like that. And really just coaching, serving people has kind of always been rooted in me. That's when I went into the personal training, got certified, went to a school for that. And then I knew that going to a big box gym wasn't going to be the path I wanted to go again, because it's not really sustainable. So starting my own thing was the only option. So I went into starting a mobile business, went to people's homes and different businesses around, basically started at really super grassroots, maybe $2,000 in my bank account to make this work, and grew it over time, over 10, 11 years, to becoming a facility that was serving over 350 people. We had 8 team members and a 6,000 square foot facility. So that was exciting. That was my college, if you will, of like business, of really learning about what it takes to grow a business. From there, I exited that business and really pushed more into the business side of coaching and providing support for other businesses to be successful. And that's what led me to Fitness Revolution, in a quick summarizing story.
Wow, that's awesome. So I guess you went to people's houses, so you probably didn't have the overhead because of that. You did personal training at their house. And then at a certain point, you had your own gym. What was that transition like? And most of the people who listen to this show are more usually online entrepreneurs. But if someone wanted to open some sort of brick and mortar or retail physical location, whether it's a store, a fitness, I mean, anything, what are some challenges or things to watch out for when doing something like that?
Well, I think maybe to dial it back first, I think the biggest thing is it's a mindset and a mentality that you have to have, whether you're opening a physical location or an online business. And I would say coming out from that bootstrapping mentality of like, you need to put the effort in. You need to actually do the actions that's going to unlock the opportunities to do what's coming next, or where you want to go next. So it doesn't matter where you're operating your business. It matters more of what are you actually doing to get to the result that you want to get to. And for me at that time, I literally was like basically going door to door, selling people, if you will. And it connected me with somebody that allowed me to open up my first little location. It was like maybe 600 square feet, and it was a tiny little space. That was that bridge into actually owning, moving to like a physical location at that time. And I told myself, that person believed in what I was doing and what I was creating enough to give me a shot. And that's like the underlying thing here is that I put myself out there, and then the opportunity presented itself. And then I was ready to grab that opportunity. So more than any message here, whether you're doing physical or online, it's what are you doing to create opportunities? And if you're just sitting there thinking, like, okay, because I exist, my business should flourish. Well, that's not going to happen. Well, you need to actually create and allow opportunities to come to you by putting yourself out there, doing the actions needed. And a lot of times, especially early on, it's doing things that aren't fun, that aren't sexy, that most people want to avoid and think they're beyond, but you're not. But you're just starting out. So you be willing to do the hard stuff.
One of the things that you focus on is outbound marketing. And I'd love to talk more about that because I don't think I've really talked about that much on this show. So could you share a bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So in essence, Outbound really is just about building awareness, bringing people that are not aware that you even exist as a solution and getting them aware that you exist as a solution. And then you can guide them through whatever the pathway is from that point. That's really what it is at essence. There's so many different ways to go about it. It can be through social media outlets, it can be through email, it can be through cold calling, it can be through direct mailing. It's many different avenues. And doesn't really necessarily matter which way you go. It just matters more having an actual process behind it so that you can systematically move people through a conversation thread. I mean, like that's really what it is. You're having a conversation with somebody new. What does that look like? What's that first interaction like? How are you warming them up? How are you building trust? And what are you moving them towards? What's that, like maybe that first offer that's meant to just solidify trust factor in seeing you as the option or the solution for their problem. That's really what Outbound is in essence. And I think what throws people off a lot with this is it quickly gets categorized in thinking, oh, I'm spamming people. And I would hope that what you're delivering and what you're providing, not junk, that you actually what it is that you're providing you a quality service or quality product. If you don't, then yeah, you have no business offering it to anyone. But if you do have a quality product and quality service, then it is your moral obligation to make sure that everybody that would benefit from having your product or service is getting your product or service or knows that your product and service exists. That's the whole point. And you're reaching out to targeted people. You're not just blanketing paying anybody with that breed. That is a waste of effort. That's a waste of your time. You want to make sure that you're specifically going after who would benefit from your product or service, who actually is having a high potential of being a client or a customer. That is who you're targeting with. And then the messaging is very personalized and represents that alignment there, that they would be a client and that you provide a solution for the problem that they most likely are experiencing.
Yeah, I know you specifically do like LinkedIn outbound. I know there's some different software programs that help automate the process for LinkedIn specifically, where you can search by a keyword and develop a list and then have it send out an automatic message. And then when they reply, or if they don't reply, it like schedules out. Anyway, what are your thoughts on those types of software programs that kind of help streamline that?
Really what it does in essence, it helps it streamline. It helps you have a system behind your outreach. That's really the point. It doesn't matter what software you choose to use. The point is that you're making sure that things aren't slipping through the cracks and that you have the same experience for every single interaction. That's really the point. When you have consistency in your communication, that allows you to see trends. That's where then you can see what your actual metrics are for connection, response, lead rate, lead to book. I mean, so you're seeing those actual metrics, and then you can actually then pinpoint where there's kinks in the process and where you need to dial in, whether it's maybe your targeting is off because your connection percentage is really low. If you're not having consistency in how you operate and having the volume of actions that need to be happening every single day, then it's tough to really understand what's really happening and how to diagnose what's breaking. Because if you try to do everything manually, chances are you're going to have days where things are crazy and you just don't get around to doing. You don't send as many connection requests as you should, or you don't follow up with people that responded as quickly as you should, or there's all different things that can happen. And once you start breaking down that consistency, then it kind of deteriorates the whole effectiveness of the approach itself.
Yeah, so do you use an automation software for your LinkedIn outreach?
Yes. So I mean, we have a system that we build and provide for our clients called Reminder. And it's a system that allows you to essentially provide targeted outreach and personalized outreach to the type of person that you're going after. So it allows you to scrape very easily from different platforms, and you can use this on pretty much virtually every social media platform. So not just LinkedIn. But that's what we use and what we use internally. And it makes it very visual and very easy to see how you're moving people through the conversation thread. And like I said, it makes it very obvious to see where the issues are.
What was the name of it again?
Fit Lead Finder.
Oh, okay. And so you can use that on multiple platforms. So how would it, because the thing about LinkedIn is you can search by like what someone's job title is or whatever. How would that work on something like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter?
A great question. So again, it depends on who you're going after. So let's just for the lack of use of fitness business as an example. So say you're looking for people that want to lose weight. So you can type in weight loss groups. Now you can go into weight loss groups or Weight Watchers or things like that. So I mean, like you can find different groups that already are harnessing the type of person that you want to go after, and you can scrape from those groups. Same thing, you can go after businesses that are complementary to you. So let's say, yeah, if you're a coach of some capacity and you find a marketing business that serves coaches or the type of person you're going after, basically. So then you can go to that marketing business and you can scrape from their followers on Facebook or any other platform, really. So that's just a couple different ways, obviously, of using it. And then the beautiful thing with those platforms is obviously the more you use them, the more it starts working for you. So like Facebook, for example, will start suggesting people to you. So you can just go to your suggestions and basically go boom, 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 right through. There are people that Facebook's seeing like, okay, this is the type of person you want to, that you're interacting with, that you're engaging with, that's engaging with you. Let's bring you more of these types of people. So then it just, the more you use it, the more it just becomes even easier to find the people that you're looking to get in front of.
Yeah, and when you say scrape, just for people who don't know, that's like pulling either their email address or their profile, I guess. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Be pulling their profile in. So basically, like the platform we use, it's a Google extension that just overlays. So whatever platform you go on, then you'll see the extension pop up. It's like, okay, here's the option that you can basically do. And then if you're like searching for people, it also allows you to enter in specific keywords. They'll say if you're looking for CEOs, founders, it's like whatever, you can enter those keywords in, and then it will start scrolling the page and pulling out for people that have those keywords. And then so that way, again, it's another layer of qualifying so that you're bringing in the right people. Then once in the pipeline, you can then further run a qualifying automation to then further weed out people that are quite a fit. Because obviously that initial pull is just going literally off of what's on the screen. Whereas then the deeper qualifying automation goes on based on their entire profile.
So, other than social media outbound marketing, what else are you finding that works in 2024?
Multiple different ways. I mean, like I would say cold email works really well. In email reaching out, you're meeting somebody at a different mindset, if you will. Social media, people aren't in work mode. They're more in like relaxation, let me scroll and waste time here type of thing. Whereas getting in someone's email inbox, that's more personal, it's more intimate, and they typically are more in work mode. Your messaging needs to be adjusted based on where you're meeting that person at. And then even the cold calling works really well. Again, it's just all how you approach it. If you just hop on the call and immediately start pitching somebody, then of course, who's going to be receptive to that? It's about starting a conversation and opening that door. You're not going for the home run right away. It's just, okay, what's going to crack that door open so that we can facilitate an actual conversation here. So that works really well. Again, it's just all understanding the consistency and volume that you need to be doing. So a lot of it is numbers, of course, because what this is doing is it's allowing you to tap into the percentage of people that are thinking about the problem that you solve right now. And so that's not going to be everyone. But those people that are thinking about it, those are the ones you want to obviously connect with, push into more and bring more into you. So you're going to throw some people off as you get no's. You're going to get a lot of no's. It doesn't mean no forever. It just means that right now, this is not priority for me. It could be 3 months from now, but you can't get discouraged with that. You want to make sure you're focusing on the people that are resonating with, that are saying yes to it. Those are the ones you want to push into. This is not about twisting somebody's arm and using sales tactics to force them into something that they're not ready to do or isn't on their radar. It isn't going to generally lead to the best client experience. You want to make sure that you're pushing into the ones that are showing positive feedback and resonating with how you're approaching them and what you're discussing. because then that's obviously going to lead to a much better client experience and overall outcome for both parties.
So what is the best way to open that door or start a conversation without being too salesy right out of the gate?
It really kind of depends on what it is that you're offering, what your core offer is. I'll give you an example. SEO client that I've worked with, his opening line that's been working really well is more just a question of curiosity. So it's more just like, hey, like I see you're producing consistent content. Do you have a method behind that? I'm always interested in learning new ways to make sure that my content's resonating with my audience. So now that's really enticing. It's really, people want to share things, but they want to feel like they're being invited into an actual mutual conversation, which is what it is. It's a mutual conversation. It's not me just coming in and dictating at you type of thing. So now it opens up the conversation for them to share insights. And then you actually have like a real conversation, and then it can show you. And then through that, obviously you're able to see like, okay, like, yeah, no, this is an area that I could possibly help you in. Would you be open to having an actual conversation around that and what that can look like for you? And just looking at it from the perspective of what is their ultimate need? What is their immediate pain point? And then how do you start like more of a collaborative conversation?
Okay. And then what are some marketing trends that you've noticed lately?
Definitely things are moving more towards, even at a faster rate, personal connection. And not necessarily saying it always has to be a personal brand, but people want to connect to people. And I would say now more than ever, we're seeing that push into more work where businesses that are trying to be like this faceless business, it's just not resonating as well. And it's not landing as well as the business that has person up front that is allowing people to connect with them. So that is huge. And then tying that into social content, we're definitely at a point now where it's clear, obviously, that unless you're an entertainment business and your sole purpose is to provide just content for pure entertainment, you're not going to get the reach organically that you want on the different social platforms. Just not going to happen unless you pay, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just making sure that you, one, understand that, and then two, you utilize that money wisely, because you can quickly blow through that and not have any outcome whatsoever. So, and for most businesses out there, the ones that are listening to this, chances are you're a business that the objective is to get them off the social platform onto your website or whatever it is that the next step is. And obviously these social platforms know this. They know you want to get them off their platform, so they're not going to reward you. They're not going to reward you with free traffic to get people off their site. So I think that that's a huge thing that people need to start having this realization around. Great, you're spending all this time on content, but what is it really doing to build awareness? And that's where it can tie into then the outbound side of marketing. Having an actual solid outbound system is going to funnel new people into your awareness and building an audience to then where your content actually becomes more relevant. So if you're going to just keep relying on obviously the algorithm to show you new people, then it's going to be slow going. And then which ties into, I think, like the ad space itself, like social media, paid ads and stuff like that. It's just not as effective with all the security and personalizations that have been in place and all these different platforms from Google and Apple and everything. And everybody wants their piece of the pie. I personally know businesses that were spending 300 to 500,000 a month on ads, some even $1 million a month on ads, and they literally came to a halt. They just could not get them to produce the same level as what, so they were losing money, obviously. And these are businesses that are clearly, like, resources is not an issue. They can get the best creative, they can get the best ads. So it's coming to that realization, which I think over time is essentially going to start driving down ad costs. I think the platforms can start realizing that people are vacating and leaving because it's just not as effective, or they're not going to spend as much. We could potentially see a downturn in how much it costs, which would be awesome. But it's just keeping that in mind, that realizing that the issue with the paid ad suit is like everything's behind a curtain. We don't really know how it works. It's a lot of testing, a lot of trial and error. And guess what? You can wake up tomorrow and everything's changed. So you have to be okay with it. That's, again, another perk of why I like Outbound. It's like there is no curtain. It's very easy to diagnose. You're in control of the process. Pretty much usually comes down to two things of why it's not working. You're either targeting the wrong people or your messaging isn't great. It's one of those two things is typically what the issue is. If you're doing the right actions and you're doing the right volume, if you're only doing 5 people a day, then yeah, obviously it's never going to work. But if you're doing that shit right, then typically it just comes down to, are you targeting the right people and do you have the right messaging in place? So I think that's just another thing, like to try people that are doing paid ads, just being aware that there's a lot of uncertainty. And when you're looking at it from the perspective, say you're selling your business, a prospective buyer is going to way more heavily prioritize the business that has a marketing system in place that they have control over versus the one that they don't have control over. And they know there's going to be instability in the takeover and transition, whether that could be paid ads or it can be that your business is built on you entirely versus a obviously outbound system where anybody can step into it and it will keep running. So I'm like, those are things that I'm start paying attention to as you move forward.
So basically, the personal connection and outbound is maybe working better than ads now.
In terms of like cost effectiveness, absolutely. It's way cheaper to do an outbound approach versus paid ad. And then, like I said, also too, it's always going to have a testing phase. No matter what marketing channel you go with, you have to test to know what's going to work. And outbound, it's typically more just time is what it costs you to test. And you can pretty much figure out if it's going to work in maybe 3 to 4 weeks. Whereas a paid ad, depending on what your offer is and what you're doing, I mean, it can be upwards of between 3 and 6 months to have something dialed in to where it's like you can really put money behind it. So that's where it's like on average, you have to be okay with losing, depending on how much you're spending, anywhere from maybe $3,000 to $10,000 on just testing. Whereas obviously like an outbound approach, it's, I mean, even the most expensive software out there is going to run you anywhere near that. And so it's really just time of just getting enough messages out there in front of people to see how it resonates. And then you make the optimizations from there.
Is there anything in terms of marketing, whether it's outbound or in general, that you wanted to touch on that we hadn't touched on yet?
I guess I would say like to add one more thing to the trends as a creative, as we move forward, every business, like you have to start thinking creatively of how you can draw more attention. I mean, that is first and foremost. You have to get attention before you can win over their heart. And a lot of people try to win over hearts before they have the attention, which is, again, like I said, with the content things. Okay, if you're not speaking to anybody, what was the point of putting the hours you did into creating content? So you have to make sure that there's someone there first to be able to speak to and have that attention. That's why there's different people I look up to for inspiration. And one of them definitely is P.T. Barnum with how he operated. He lived by that of getting attention, that you have to get attention to be able to do something with it. Everything he did was purely about grabbing attention. You have to have people talking about you. You have to get people looking at you in some way. So bring it back to trends. It's how could you own the media source? Is like how you start looking at things. I don't think anybody here is going to start owning Google or Facebook or anything like that. And if you are, I'm going to definitely want to hear from you how that happens. But it's looking at different media sources, different traffic sources that you can own. It could be blogs, it can be websites, it can be social media platforms or groups that exist already that are harboring the type of person that you're targeting, and you can own those. You can take those over. You can acquire those, and for most cases, you can start acquiring those things for sometimes no money or very little, and you can structure those deals in a way where you don't even have to put upfront money to take those over. But I mean, like, I start looking at things differently of where's traffic, where are people going already that you want to get in front of, and then how can you own them? And again, like, that can be many different things. Podcasts, it can be a blog, it can be a website. Where is the traffic? How do you get control of that traffic?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, definitely owning versus, it's the whole owning versus renting land, basically that whole.
That's definitely the point there. You can own more of the real estate, if you will, of the marketing landscape, then you're going to have more control.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time today and talking about different marketing trends, outbound marketing. I know the website for Fitness Revolution is frnation.com. Is that the best place for people to go, or do you prefer them reach out to you on social?
If you're listening to this and you're in the fitness space, then yes, like frnation.com is definitely the place to go and learn more about us, how we operate, how we help consistently businesses grow. if you want to just connect with me personally, then you can find me all different social platforms: Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Justin Hanover, and I'm open to connect with anybody and be able to answer any questions that you have, or just have some good conversation.
Well, I really appreciate your time today. Thanks for coming on.
No, it's an absolute pleasure, Sarah. I appreciate the opportunity to have this platform and to be able to connect with your audience.